Hey everybody, welcome to another Sunday morning conversation. Today my guest is Lali Carr. She is with SwimBikeRun for Equality. They have a 501c3 nonprofit group status from the IRS, and they are all about I'm gonna screw this up so bad. They're all about inclusion into the sport of triathlon. So yeah, thanks for tuning in everybody today. I'm sure you'll be really entertained. Oh, that picture's gold. That kind of ties into what you're doing now with SwimBikeRun for Equality. If you can't even teach kids that.
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about that. So back when Ahmaud Arbery, hi puppy, can you go lie down, please? After the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, everybody kind of went through the whole run for Maud, right? And everybody kind of went through that whole movement. And then the killing of George Floyd happened. And I mean, it really, caused a huge, there was already an uprising kind of brewing and happening, and it's been going on for a long time, but that really pushed some people over the edge. And it pretty much woke a lot of people up in like, what can I do? Like, I can no longer sit by the sidelines and just be, right? So Mike Smith, who is our foundation president, and Kelly Worrell, who is our foundation vice president, they're really good friends. They're teammates. They're both para-athletes. Mike being an athlete of color and having a disability, and Kelly being an athlete with a disability but being white. Like, she really felt like she felt compelled to do something more than just give lip service, right, to being someone who's friendly to the cause. So what she and Mike decided to do was to go ahead and put this group together, create this safe space where people can have courageous conversations around race and equality. Because let's be honest, triathlon is a very white sport, right? Everybody knows that. And so
very white male sport.
That's a great point. It's a very white male sport. And so what do we know and what is our lane? It is triathlon. I'm a triathlete, Mike's a triathlete, Kelly's a triathlete. That's what we know. That's what we're passionate about. So Mike told Kelly, he was like, man, I know somebody who can help us get all of this started. She's really good with social media. She's done PR in the past. Like, let me give her a call. And so he called me and he was like, hey, we really feel like this is something we want to do. How do we make it happen? And I was like, that's easy. So we kind of started putting the platform together on Facebook, just to put the group together, come up with rules, what are the expectations, all that stuff. And before we knew it, was the trigger was pulled, and here we were, and within a matter of a few weeks, we had over 1,800 people in the group. People that were just passionate about equality in sports. And that's the thing about the group. It's more than just triathlon, even though it's SwimBikeRun for Equality. It's about running, it's about swimming, it's about cycling, it's about CrossFit, it's about yoga, it's about walkers, people that do beach body. I mean, it's literally just people that are physically active, but also wanting to be inclusive. And it's not just about race. It's not just about gender equality. It's not just about body image equality. Because, I mean, you look at me and I don't look like an Iron Man, but I am. It's about transgendered feeling comfortable in their skin and doing triathlon or any sport. So it's really having having that space to have those conversations so that we learn and we can support each other. So that's how it kind of all developed.
Okay. Yeah, I actually so I used to coach during my masters. I got a job coaching a masters swim team down here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Rainbow Trout, and it's an all-inclusive type team where it's, if you get the rainbow trout part, they're, most of them are either gay or lesbian. There was a transgender, but I mean, they also have straight people too, where, you know, master swimming, it's all about the common goal of this time works for me to swim. So nobody really cares at that point anymore who's what.
Right. We're all the same in the water, right? We're all
Mhm.
human. We're all trying to get our laps done and we're trying not to drown. We're all human. So that's, you know, that's really the platform. And so as we started to develop this space where we could have these conversations, you know, we had little tiny challenges and, you know, use the hashtag, whatever. But then it kind of got to a point where people are like, now what? You know, because these days people they want action. They want to do something substantive, and it's no longer just about a hashtag. And really, for the three of us, for Mike, myself, and Kelly, it was about creating a movement that was going to last. So I remember talking to the two of them, and I was like, okay, what do you guys want to do next? Like, what are you thinking? Is it another challenge? You know, do you want to hold a virtual event? But it was like kind of in the midst of COVID and everybody was having virtual events. You know, Ironman came out with the VR series, and like nobody wanted to do another virtual event. So, you know, the two of them really wanted something that was going to outlast what we were doing in the moment. And they started tossing around the idea of starting a foundation. So I started doing all the research behind it, filed the paperwork, kind of put everything together, and we set up the structure. And so we have applied for our 501c3 nonprofit status. We're still waiting. The last time I checked, it said that, you know, their paperwork goes behind. So we're kind of waiting on that. In the meantime, we've partnered up with a couple of companies to raise some money. We got a grant through USAT, and so we were able to award some grants to three very deserving ladies. One girl is she's a para athlete. She's not ever done triathlon before. She's only done running. So she's brand new baby novice in triathlon. So we're excited about that. One is, she's younger. She's been in triathlon for a while. She's trying to really get her footing into a little bit more of a professional arena. She's out of Colorado. And she's really representing the athlete that's a minority. She's Mexican. And so she's overcome a lot also in her very young life. And then we have one athlete who battled with anorexia and bulimia, and she's trying to bring a more healthy attitude towards body image. And so we granted her, we gave her a grant so that she could continue with her professional triathlon career. And yeah, so it feels good to be able to do that, you know, so we'd like to continue with grants of that nature going forward.
So is there any kind of, I don't want to say like policy goals or anything else that you'd like to achieve out of it?
Yeah, so as far as the foundation goes, like what our mission is. Yeah, so one of the things that we talk about, and it's a simple hashtag, but it carries a lot of meaning, and it's promoting equality through sport. And really it is about bringing varied representation into the sport for us, specifically triathlon. What we would like to do is we would like to start having people apply for race entries so that they represent SwimBikeRun for Equality, because we do have a group that they're pretty regular with promoting the cause, wearing the merch, doing, you know, promoting the message. And so, you know, we'd like to see that represented at races so that when someone sees our kits, you know, because we did a partnership with Zoot, when they see that SwimBikeRun for Equality kit, they ask the question, what is that? Like, what are you, that's a nice kit. What does it mean? And so then it sparks the conversation of bringing equality into sport, whether, like I said, it's triathlon, cycling on its own, running on its own, swimming on its own, you know, whatever the sport is, we'd like to just increase that representation all the way around. However, we need to do that.
So do you have any team functions like, or I saw you had Rev 3 listed on the website, and I was assuming that's like going to be like a team race or something. Is that?
Well, so the website, I'm glad you looked at the website. What we have fed onto the website, those are individuals, race directors that are supportive of Swim Bike Run for Equality. Rachel Martin is one of our standing board members. Like, she's one of our active members, and she herself is a race director. She knows a lot of other race directors that do support the cause. And because they do support us in various ways, we've kind of fed their feed, their race feed, like Rev, into our website. So if somebody wants to know, hey, what races are available, they can go to the website, find the feed, kind of, you know, find events through that. So like Rachel, for example, she runs Pumpkin Man in September, I believe. And she's a huge supporter of Swim Bike Run for Equality. And so, you know,
Is that Maine or is it Colorado?
it's Maine.
That's the one. I thought
It's,
so.
So yeah, so, you know, her being a really big supporter and a race director, she's kind of got that feel out, her feelers out, you know, to find other race directors that are supportive of the cause.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to forgive me. I blank sometimes
Okay.
on that.
I know we've chatted about that.
Yeah.
Which I have about your TBI. Like I'm super. So I worked with a speech pathologist, one of the best speech pathologists I've ever worked with. She now works DOD in Stuttgart. She and I chatted just today, as a matter of fact, and she is really big about rehabbing speech therapy, mostly in kids, because, you know, kids that have had TBIs. That's where I've learned a lot of my information is through her. She's phenomenal. So if you blank, that's okay.
Well, you said you have questions. Maybe you can ask me one while I think of it. Even though.
Well, I mean, so like you know, the things that I think about, like, how do you, knowing that your TBI causes you to have like intermittent amnesia, how do you stay organized? How do you intentionally not forget, you know, to kind of keep you on track? I can only imagine how it interrupts everything.
You know, I'll ask my phone to tell me in a reminder, and I'll set the reminder within, you know, like 2 hours, or I'll ask my Alexa to do it. And so if I didn't have a chance to write it down, it's at least going to show up in my feed of things.
Oh, that's good.
Or when I could get to a piece of paper or something. For the most part, it's kind of like a crapshoot. You know, it's using what I have available to me. It's part of the reason why I write a lot, because if I have to talk to someone, like when my ex and I would have a serious conversation, I'd literally have to treat it like it was work and go in there with an outline of the things that, okay, I want to talk to you about this. But the problem was I couldn't have a conversation like that because I couldn't think of a follow-up question because I couldn't process it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what's part of the memory and the processing speed paying together that, you know, kind of make things hard on a daily basis.
So do you like feel it when you have like a memory blip? Like, do you feel it coming on? Like, is there like a precursor to it? Does that make sense?
So, yeah, let me try to explain it in a way that I think it will make sense. You know, imagine you're running down a dirt path in a forest, and the trees start to get less dense and less dense, and all of a sudden you find yourself in like a barren wasteland. You're like, wait, how did I get here? Where did I start? You know, it's transitions, and all of a sudden you lost it. I'd be talking and be like, wait, I had somewhere to go. I just give me a second. No, it's gone. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's gone. Yeah.
And then there's the other part where you forget where you started with. So you can't figure out how you started your conversation and how to end it if you don't remember what the beginning was about.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because the new group of people that I work with, the coordinators that I work with, they have this visual, it's an actual tactile thing that they do when they're talking and they want to not forget something. they do this, like they cross their fingers, and each of them, like, it's kind of like their visual cue. Hey, I have to tell you something. I don't want to forget. So remind me to tell you. So it's funny because I started beginning of December, and I've already picked up on that habit. So today I was like, oh, I wanted to contribute to the conversation that we were having, because we're already planning our summer professional learning for teachers for the district. And so I was like, oh, okay, don't lose the thought, don't lose the thought. And I found myself doing this, right? And so somebody looked at me and they kind of started giggling. I was like, I know, I already picked up on y'all's habits and I haven't been here that long, but it's a great tool. Like, okay, this is my visual. I have to tell you something in just a second.
I've never thought about trying that. No one has ever really
I
brought
don't
it
know.
up to my attention.
I don't know that it would help, but it's something to try. Other than you might sit there and go like, okay, why am I doing this?
Well, the upside of that is nobody sees it except for my cats.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Unless you're talking with someone and then they just think you're wishing luck to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back, like SwimBikeRun, it's been a really, really great experience. We've had a lot of positive feedback with it. I think everybody would like us to do something bigger and do something more. Mike is in the middle of it, or like really he's in the midst of his training, because he's a professional triathlete. So like he's really saturated in it. Kelly is the same way, like their race season has started. And so, it's about to kick off in Sarasota in March. So it's a huge undertaking to want to do something bigger for me, because I just moved to McKinney, moving from San Antonio, starting a new job, moving into a new place. It's like one thing on top of another on top of another. So it's almost like everything, even my training, everything has just been paused. And once everything settles down a little bit more, I feel like, we'll be able to kind of get that rolling again. But that's the great thing about it, is we're so small that like, if we have to pause, it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just remembered what I was going to say too.
There you go.
Your board member, Derek, lives about 1.5 miles from me.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of our standing members. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because I follow him on Strava and I know where the general vicinity of where he lives. So it's not that far from me.
Yeah. Yep. So do you know Donna
Adams?
No. Well, there is Donna Adams. She's out of Galveston.
Yeah.
Know her very well. McClasson, I think is how you say her last name. She's always with Derek.
I don't think I've ever met her, or if I did, I wouldn't remember.
Okay. All right. Yeah, she's one of our standing members also. Huge supporter of SwimBikeRun as well. So.
So how big do you want to grow it?
This is just me talking. I'd like to focus it, keep it small, keep it like really streamlined. The bigger it gets, the more investment you have to make. I can only speak for me. Like, I can't make that type of investment to where I commit to doing all the things that would be necessary for it to be huge. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I had a nest egg, won the lottery, whatever, so that I wouldn't have to work a 7 to 5 o'clock job, then yeah, I would love for it to get large, because you have the time. I would have the time to commit to making sure that everything runs smoothly. I just don't have that, So for me personally, doing small little nuggets and small little things to keep us on the radar, to keep us involved right now, at least, I think that's a good plan.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you just don't want to grow beyond your capabilities of handling it.
That's exactly right. Because then it falls apart. You know what I mean? It totally falls apart. So it's, to me, organizationally, I have an organizational communication background. Like, your best bet is to really keep it within
you don't want it to get
manageable.
I would assume that if the larger you let it grow, the more watered down it may feel.
It's possible. So I think so it's almost like if you grow it and the capacity is, no, let me say it this way. If it increases and it grows and it builds, but you have the capacities to support it, then it won't get watered down, right? But
Mhm.
if you're growing, like you said, if you're growing and it's growing beyond your capability, what's going to give? Something is going to give. Therefore, it is going to have to be watered down to some degree. Like, and is that does no good to the cause? Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, there are
it,
some places that have that many ambassadors that have that problem.
you what?
I said there are some places that I'm an ambassador for that have that kind of problem.
No, it's true. It's really true. You know, sometimes you outgrow the message. So like, so I'm an ambassador for two different teams, triathlon its core, and they've been really good about growing their purpose, you know, not just triathlon and it being a triathlon clothing company, but like they want to do a lot of DIE, diversity, inclusion, and equality work. And so they've been doing it for the past 2 years, you know, since I've been an ambassador. So they themselves will grow, catch up, grow, catch up, grow, and catch up. The second group is Wassell, and it's a clothing company, and they're huge in regards to promoting equality, diversity, inclusion, specifically around women and women of color, women with different sizes, with different abilities. Kara Goucher is one of their biggest supporters. Fleischman is another big supporter. They represent the brand very well. And so they have the capability to leverage high yield names, very well-known individuals, because they're that big, gigantic company that have the ability to support those things, right? They can leverage that type of push. Smaller companies can't do that just yet. SwimBikeRun for Equality can't do that yet. And I'm a huge believer in the power of yet. So how are we going to grow, like you said, and manage it all at the same time?
Well, it sounds like your board's going to have to get a little bit bigger.
Well, not yet,
Yeah.
not yet, you know, but yeah, eventually it will need to, yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
So now you know how it all started. Now you know how like we're maintaining and what we would like to do in the future. We'd like to definitely provide more grant opportunities and race opportunities to increase that diversity in sport in general. But like I said, you know, there's a lot of things going on right now with our board members that it's pulling us away at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
It can be, for
Mm.
sure. It can be. So like I said, I'm really waiting for things to kind of settle down so that we can all get refocused and get back on track. Summer seems to be, well, for me in the past, summer was always a good time to do it because I could focus a lot of my time to the foundation because I had summers off. What it's going to look like this year, I'm not real sure because now I work year round. So we'll see. It's going to be different for sure.
Why do you have to work year round now?
That's my contract. My contract is, since I work at central office and I'm a curriculum writer, I work year round. So I get like a couple of days off during the year, you know, vacation time or flex time, but it's not like a regular teacher schedule the way it was in the past. So typically in the past, I would get summers off. I don't do that anymore. Spring break off, I don't do that anymore either. So
Is that going to be an adjustment?
I don't think so. Like I kind of felt like moving here to begin with was going to be a huge adjustment, was going to be like a little bit overwhelming, and it's actually been pretty natural. Like the people I work with, I felt like I've been working with them for a long time. Having this living arrangement, I felt like it was going to be a huge adjustment, but I felt like, I mean, I kind of feel like, no, this is something that I've been doing for a long time. Being in this area feels very familiar to me, even though it's all brand new. But nothing about it feels overwhelming, I guess. So is it an adjustment? Yes. Is it a huge adjustment? Not yet. At least I haven't felt it yet. So it's been good. That's how my parents always like, oh, we're so happy for you. We can tell, you know, that you're really loving what you're doing where you're at. So, but
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like it. I mean, just from what I see on Instagram.
Yeah. But you have to be careful with Instagram, right? Like everybody talks about that. They always post the happy parts and not necessarily the bad parts. Although I try to keep it pretty real.
No, yeah, I was gonna say with you, it's not really filtered only about the happy stuff. So
That's true. And I do that on purpose because, you know, life is difficult. Life
yeah.
has changed. So, and I think it just really brings people. So the people that I have met that I've become really good friends with, like the Donna Adams of the world, that's how we connected, was through social media, and it's been really easy. You know what I mean? So Donna and Sam and Rob, all out of the Houston Katy area, like it's been easy with them because they're just so down to earth and they're very real, and they post the real stuff. Do you know what I mean? They post the difficult things, and life can be hard, but life can be really joyous. So I think they have their profiles have a very good balance. And really, if you ever get the opportunity to meet them in person, their profiles and their personas completely match. You know, who you see on social media is who you're going to see when you see them in real life. So I appreciate that and I value that. So that's what I try to push out.
I might actually have a chance to meet some of them when I go to Texas, 70.3 in 2 months.
Are you excited about that? It's like,
Oh,
have you done 6.3? Have you done Texas before?
no, I'm not very
Oh,
prepared for it
okay.
at this moment, but
Hey, you know what? It's going to be a fun race. So it's probably my favorite. Well, it's Waco's becoming a very close second, I can tell you, even though I hate that run course. But Texas 70.3 is probably my absolute favorite. Like the weather is typically sketchy. You don't really know what you're going to get, but it's always super surprising. It always works out in the end. The people are so down to earth, lots of locals for us here in Texas. So it's really, really great. But yeah, it's a really good race. You're really going to like it. So Donna should be there. Sam will probably be there, I think. So, yeah.
you should do Chattanooga 70.3 and
I
tell
have
me.
no desire to do Chattanooga 70.3. I'm going to up and move. So, because he just got done training so that he can grab something to eat and he doesn't interrupt. So just bear with me. The camera's going to move quite a bit. So just hang tight. And I am going to move this way. Walk down the hall. Oh my God, I ran yesterday and I'm like so incredibly sore. I'm so out of shape.
I've got a half marathon in a month that I haven't ran hardly at all for.
You know what? That's the common thread that I hear from a lot of people, that like they have something coming up, but they are so ill prepared for it, right? So that's all right. We all get through it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just have to get
we are
myself
ready.
into finishing shape by I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
But yeah, you seriously, you are gonna love Texas 70.3. The course can be fast because it's mostly flat. So it can be a really, really fast course. The run is kind of miserable. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Like it's a 3-loop course, I think. Hot, you know. I'm trying to get this set up so it doesn't fall. Anybody that watches this is going to be like, oh, I'm seasick. Stay. Anyhow, the swim, I've always had a really great swim there in Galveston. This past year, it was kind of a shit show. Super choppy. The conditions were really like not ideal on the swim, which was infuriating that later on during the run, it was ice. Like the water was just so still. And we were like, what in the world? How did this happen? But so, yeah.
I had that experience at Ironman Maryland in 2016. The Chop Tank River lived up to its name, and it was so choppy that they canceled the swim. And then, you know, on the run that day, as I'm past on my last lap going into the finish, I look over and it's as calm as a Hindu cow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly how it was literally last year. So, you know, I DNF'd last year. Ironman Texas 70.3. I was the last one out of the water. No, there were people behind me, but I remember the guy that helped me out of the water. He was like, whatever my bib number was, he was like, she's the last swimmer. So I knew they were going to let me continue, but I didn't know how far behind I was. Got on the bike, had a great bike split. For me, it was a great bike split because I'm not typically fast on the bike. And then I hit the run. So when I hit the run, it was hot. It was humid. It was just horrible. Looked at the water. It was still, I got pissed. But when I crossed the finish line, I looked at my time later. Yeah. And I had DNF'd the swim by like 2 minutes.
Oh.
So 4 minutes, 2 minutes, I don't even know. But I had DNF'd the swim. But I continued the course and I finished within the time, right? Because you have what, 8.5 hours?
Yeah.
So I finished well within time. I finished in like 8 something because I was like so slow, but didn't count, right? Doesn't count. DNF. Boo. But it was all right. It was fun. It was worth it. It was the first race back for me. So first time seeing a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. I got super emotional about it. It was something. It was really something.
My first race back last year was Clash Miami down at the
Daytona.
No, not Daytona.
No?
My Homestead, Miami. The one
Oh, okay.
that was my first one back in March, and
Yeah.
it was like right when everybody was, the whole social distancing, and we're doing these special race precautions. And I remember like we all set up our transitions and we're all packing into the little lake that's in the middle of the racetrack, right?
Yeah.
And then we are like, I could like taste the sweat on the back of someone's neck. That's how tight we're packed in. It's like, well,
Oh God.
I guess
What
social
about
distancing
social
doesn't
distancing?
matter.
Yeah.
And it was just ripped off the mask. And it's like, well, it is what it is. And that's kind of how like it was for the rest of the year.
So that's kind of the thing that I was really confused about. Ironman did a great job attempting to set really clear COVID protocols. That's what I want to say. But when you walk down to the water for the swim, there is no social distancing. Now, a lot of us were wearing masks because that was the requirement, right? So we all have the disposable masks. But what I noticed and what I thought was like what I saw could have been done better, that's how I want to say it, was controlling the disposable masks, because there were a ton of masks that ended up in the water. I mean, they just flew away, They had barrels there for people to throw masks away, but like I said, it was so choppy, it was so windy, the weather, the conditions were so terrible. I mean, there was just stuff flying all over the place. So how do you control that, right? Later on, I think what they ended up doing, from what I could tell, is they had the people that were volunteering, on the swim route, on the water. They went back and picked up as much as they could. So, I mean, at least there was that. But yeah, it was pretty bad. It could have been done a little bit better.
It sounds like it could have been an ecological disaster like they did at Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
Down at Gulf Coast, the first year that Ironman took it over, they did the sponges, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, the sponges got into the storm drains and everything and completely wreaked havoc on their Panama City Beach infrastructure.
Oh, no.
And wildlife, too.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So
well, those
why
are
they
things
know.
that you don't foresee, right? Like you don't, like, what happens if, like, you just, I mean, you just don't foresee those types of things. But
I haven't seen sponges used in any Ironman race that I've been at
since then.
So,
what year was that? Because I'm trying to think.
2017.
Okay, so in 17 is when I did Arizona and they had sponges on the course. That was in November. And so Panama City is in what, late November?
May. For the Panama City, Gulf Coast is
in May.
And then Ironman Florida is the beginning of November.
So, well, I can tell you in Arizona, they for sure had them because they were so needed. So maybe they just, I don't know. But either way, like, you know, I thought they did a pretty good job going into it. There's some things that were different that I didn't particularly care for, like going to check in. You couldn't go with anybody. You had to go by yourself. It was only athletes, right? So you kind of check in, get your stuff put away, and then leave. So it didn't really lend itself to that whole social aspect, which is why I do these races. I don't race to win. I don't know what that feels like. So like for me, it's to go visit, you know. But when you're on a schedule, a very tight schedule because of COVID protocol, you do what you got to do and you leave, you know. So it kind of took some of the shine out of it, if you will. So
Yeah, and like Ironman Village doesn't have any vendors with free things anymore. They used to have the Athletic Brewing there, and they
Yep.
would give out free beers. But by the time Memphis got around, no, they weren't even
Yeah.
there. I
Yeah.
got like an alcohol and a bottle of sanitizer and a free water from whatever the Memphis healthcare system was.
That's
St.
fine. Well, at least you got
Jude.
something, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if and when it's going to go back to some semblance of normalcy, but who knows when that's going to happen.
I think it's screwed Triatats though, because they're not going to go back to bib members now. They realize they don't need them.
Yeah, I was kind of a little bit.
There's no body marking anymore. Like, I had body marking at every race except for Ironman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it hurts the business model when you can't know your bib 8 weeks ahead of time to order Triatats.
Yep.
I get messages all the time when I'm on their account about, you know, how would I be able to get these before the race? And you can't.
You know what I've told everybody? I've told everybody to order a pro pack. It'll serve you for a long time. You know, you'll have the numbers so that once you do get your bib, you can, you know, whatever. But now that they're not requiring bib numbers, like, you know, I still promote it because it's like part of the full triathlon experience, right? But people that are just starting out that have never experienced body marking, they don't know any different, you know? So
yep. So
it's interesting. It's really, really interesting.
So, but no, thanks for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. Now we both got to get on the bike.
Yeah, and it's 8:30 here, so I got to make it happen. Everybody
Look,
else.
I'm now using the Wahoo Element.
What do you think of it?
So I used it once before. So Mike gave it to me once before, and what I didn't like about it, it didn't count my steps. And so in my previous position, I was walking all over campus. So it was real easy for me to get 10,000 steps in a day, no big deal. I tried this out for about a week and like wasn't counting steps. I wasn't really training. So what was I going to use it for, right? But now that I'm trying to get back into a groove of like normal activity, I have a new to me kicker. Mike rides the Wahoo bike training. He has a training bike. So he doesn't use his kicker anymore. So I've inherited the kicker, but for whatever reason, when we tried to connect me today, like the kicker doesn't talk to my 735 XT Garmin, and it doesn't, anyway, it was causing problems. But once I put the Wahoo on, because hello, it's a Wahoo product and all the things, picked everything up. It picks up my vector pedals, it picks up the kicker, it picked up my heart rate monitor, even though my heart rate monitor is a Garmin. It connected to Zwift. I mean, like, it was just like magic. Everything started talking to each other. So I guess I got to learn how to use the rival. It's time.
I'll get one.
It's time to grow up.
When my Forerunner dies, then I'll get one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, what are you going to use? He was like, I have this other watch. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll try it. So we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see. Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So what would you like me to call you? You have like
Lali?
4 names. You have like 4 combinations of names.
Hey, that's nothing. So my real name is Esmeralda. So my real name is Esmeralda Carr. I never changed my last name after the divorce because I didn't realize that there's like a checkbox on your divorce papers that you can check so that your name gets changed back to your maiden name. I didn't know that existed. We rushed through this whole process, submitted the information. When I finally decided to go change my name, I took my decree, went to the courthouse, and they were like, oh, you see that box? It's not checked. Now you have to go pay $400 to get your name changed. And I was like, nope. You know what I mean? So Esmeralda Carr is typically what everybody will see.
What are everybody in triathlon going to know you as?
They know me as Lali. They know me as Lali Cakes because that's social media, right?
Yeah.
Now here's a funny story. So if you're not friends with Nancy Rem, she's a Mind Over Matter athlete. And she and I followed each other, I mean, for a while. And I'm at the bathroom in Arizona, like getting ready to go race, right? So we're all in the porta potty line, race morning, nerves, it's kicking in. So it's this random girl, my training partner, Julie, who was racing also she lived in San Antonio with me at the time. And then me. So we're at the front of the line, just chat, small talk. And I'll never forget, I felt so bad. The girl that was at the very front of the line, she was like, so I gave my special needs bag to somebody to go drop off. And we're like, oh, okay. She goes, yeah, but like, it's a stranger. Like I asked a stranger to go drop it off for me. And me and Julie were like, and she goes, was that wrong? Is that bad? Oh my God. I was like, I'm just too controlling. Like I'd rather go drop it off just to make sure it gets there. And she was like, I said, but I'm positive if you gave it to an athlete, it will get there. And she was like, okay, now I'm really nervous, right? Because we're about to race. So it got like awkwardly quiet because we didn't know what to say after that. But then she's like doing this and staring at me. So I was like, I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what to say. I was like, doo-doo-doo. And she goes, are you Lali Cakes? And I go, yes. And she goes, I'm so-and-so, whatever her handle is. I can't remember right now, but she was like, I followed you on social media for a long time. I was like, oh my God. So randomly, that's how we knew each other before we actually knew each other and became teammates for a while. So typically everybody will know me as Lali.
Wait, did the bag get there? You can't leave me hanging.
I don't know. I'm assuming that it did because she finished her race and I'm sure everything was right with the world, but and here's another weird story about transition, about special needs bags. So I'm trying to think of the guy's name right now and it's escaping me, but I see his face and it's going to drive me crazy. So I am in transition, first thing in the morning, helping people like air up their tires, do all the things. And this one guy comes into transition. He's trying to ask a question in English. He's foreign, can't really get the English out, asking something about glasses. And we were like, we don't know where your glasses are. Like we were so confused about what he was trying to ask. And then Kevin, that's the guy's name. So then this one lady was like, oh, he's probably asking if his glasses are going to be on the table when he gets out. Like, where can he pick up his glasses so that he could see, right, after he gets out of the water? She goes, run after him and go tell him that he will find his glasses on the table. And I'm like, okay, so I'm running with my headlamp, right? Because it's 5:30 in the morning. Run. And I find him and I told him, your glasses will be on the table, blah, blah, blah. He gets it, he knows enough English that he understands like what I'm trying to tell him. This guy comes up to me and taps me on the shoulder and I turn around and I'm blinding him because I have this headlamp on. And he goes, I can't find my transition bag. I went and dropped it off. It's not there anymore, because you could drop them off the day before, right? And he's like, it's not there. I'm going to need it. How do I find it? Can you help me? And I covered my headlamp because I'm blinding him. And he goes, Lali? And I go, yes. And he goes, it's me, Kevin. I was like, oh my God. Like randomly of the thousands of people that are in transition, he taps me on the shoulder. Isn't that weird? It's weird how things like that work.
Yeah, I mean,
Of the thousands and thousands of people.
in theory, that could have happened at some point with us if I didn't do this interview with you.
That's true. 100%.
Whether you showed up in
100%.
like Texas or you were going to show up in Memphis like last year. You know?
Yeah. What happened last year?
Memphis, that you didn't come?
Yes.
You said you needed moving money.
That's right, because I was waiting to see about moving, and here I am.
Yep. You didn't miss
I'm
anything.
sure-
It was a mud fest that I got stuck in.
That's right. I remember that. You were like, forget it. I'm just gonna, like, I'm just gonna die here. You're like, I'm never gonna get out of this. Just gonna live here like a
It
nomad.
took 6 hours.
That
to
is
get
the
out.
craziest, crazy. You really should have just raced. It
Yeah.
was gonna take that long anyway.
Yeah. I mean, but I was so exhausted that I don't know if I could ever, I don't know if I could have finished it, but I mean,
You
at
could have
that rate,
You totally could have finished. Would you have finished within the time that you wanted to finish? Probably not, but you totally could have finished.
I don't know. I was pretty fucking exhausted.
Yeah, well,
I took I was taking like intermittent 20-minute naps waiting in the car for between text messages and phone calls from different towing companies.
oh
So
my gosh.
it was like those little micro sleeps that don't do you any good.
They just make you even more tired and angry.
Yeah. And so by the end of the day, when I found out people were riding around in Jeeps towing everybody out, I just was out there running around with the jacket on. I had a waterproof Gore-Tex jacket from work and running around with, my kit on and covered in mud because it's been raining now for 12 hours and it's a marshland field. So I look like, a kid who's been playing in the mud all day. I'm head to toe covered in mud.
Oh my God.
And I found a guy. I said, please get me out of here. And I gave him the biggest fucking hug that I've ever gave a man in my life outside of my father. Like, thank you.
You're like, it was so worth it though, because I got out.
Yeah.
I lived to tell about it. That's really funny. But no, like, yeah, man, I now remember, like, I really did want to go to Memphis. And then I had Waco coming up because Memphis happened before Waco. And I was like, if I go to Memphis, I for sure can't go to Waco because my plan was to stay overnight in Waco so I could cheer everybody on, because you had the full and you had the half the next day.
Mhm.
But like I knew, so my friend Sarah Bauman, I don't know if you're friends with her on social media. So Sarah, she's out of Austin. She was doing Ironman Waco. So I was like, I will be there, right? Get done past midnight, cheering everybody on, and like an idiot, I drive back home and it's a 4-hour drive, something like that. I was spent. I didn't get home till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, slept the entire next day, but totally worth it. Didn't make it to the 70.3 the next day, but that's okay. And then, yeah, man, it's been like, this move has kind of been in the pipeline for some time, but we didn't actually pull the trigger until July or August. And I remember telling my team, well, I told my principal at the time, I was like, hey, I just want you to know, like, this is my intent. My intent is to move to Dallas. Like, I just want you to know that. So if you start getting job references, like, whatever, she was like, okay, I understand. So, and then it to me, it feels like it went really, really fast because I started applying end of September. I interviewed sometime in November and like moved here in December. So it was fast. I feel like it was fast. So.
Well, yeah, it does seem fast because I remember we were talking about it and then the next thing it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I, trying to keep it secret from everybody because, I'll post everything on social media, but needing it to be, I needed to be respectful of the hiring team, right? Just to make everything official, make everything good on this side, being respectful of the team that I was leaving, not wanting to upset the teachers that I was working with, kind of like, oh my God, she's leaving, she's leaving, she's leaving, until I absolutely had to. It's been a challenging transition in certain aspects. But like I said, it's been easy. I told this friend of mine, I was like, I feel guilty because I'm so happy about it. I feel a little bit guilty about it. So, but it's been good. And now I have motivation to train, and I've got a life partner that really supports triathlon life. And you and I've talked about this, like it's a very difficult lifestyle, that not everybody understands. And so I feel like I've been pretty damn fucking lucky, so.
Well, they do it too, so that helps, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I have a partner that gets it, more than anything. I feel like, because I've been through Ironman training and I know the commitment and sacrifice that can take, it pales in comparison to the commitment and sacrifice that he makes. But because his is off the chain, when you're trying to land a spot on the Olympics, right? Like that's a totally different thing. So that training cycle, that focus, that everything is so different even from Ironman training. But because I've been through it, like I understand it. I understand the sacrifice that it can take. I understand that, we don't always have date night, because guess what? I got to get up early. He's got to get up early. We got to go to bed early because we're exhausted, and that's okay. That's okay.
You can always do it earlier. They have the what's that, the early birds dinner special, like the old people have. You can do that,
Hey,
right?
just wait. I was talking about this to somebody the other day. I was like, man, I can't wait to join AARP. And they were like, shut up, you're too young. I was like, I'll be 50 in December. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, I'll be of AARP age. Super excited. I don't know what you get joining AARP, but I'm super excited.
My mom got a card.
I'll be a card-carrying member of AARP.
Yeah, I don't know why they set the bar
Proud
at 50. I don't know why they set the bar down at 50 though. It seems a little light.
Yeah, but you get let's find out what you get, because now I'm intrigued by it all. Let's see, AARP membership advantage. Nope, Medicare Advantage. That's the wrong thing. Although I'm almost 50, I could possibly apply for Medicare. AARP membership. Is it worth it? It asks. For most people age 50 and older, it's a great deal as long as you're comfortable with the group's lobbying efforts. Ooh, and can stand junk mail. Boo. Memberships? It's only $16 a year. Like that's what I spend in like 3 Starbucks coffees. You get hundreds of benefits that help you live your best life. YOLO. And from health and financial tools, volunteering opportunities, travel and restaurant discounts. That's it. I'm sold.
Okay.
AARP. It's worth it. No, I don't know.
I bet you Cracker Barrel's on that list.
Dude, don't knock Cracker Barrel. It's like one of my favorite places to go. This friend of mine, Carrie Walls, she lives in, I have random meet people stories. I met Carrie in a bathroom line, again, with the bathroom. And she and I were teammates on Team in Training. I'd never met her in person. We had emailed and messaged back and forth. And somehow we're standing in line. She's standing right in front of me. Oh, my foot's cramping. And she said, I can't remember what I said, but she looked at me. She goes, are you Lali? And I was like, I am. She goes, I'm Carrie. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, Carrie and I became very fast friends. And she now lives in Kentucky, but like our go-to place, we called it the good place, was Cracker Barrel. I always ate the same thing, eggs in a basket. It's where they cut out the middle of the toast and they put the egg in the middle. We're talking about the most random bullshit stuff. Do you realize that?
Yeah, I do.
And you're recording it, which is even funnier. But yes, those of you watching Cracker Barrel.
All
for the
right.
win.
We'll let you end on that high note if you want to call it that, right?
Yes, totally. Eggs in a basket. And then you and I, like I said, we have to get on the bike. It's almost 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock your time.
Yep.
So you'll get done at 10.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
You're what, gonna ride 30 minutes?
No, we'll see. I just
If
don't know
I
how
even
long.
get on the bike.
I just can't stand it at the moment. I don't know why, but however, every day that passes that I don't do anything is one day closer to Texas 70.3.
Yep.
But that half I'm doing is the rock and roll one in Vegas that you do on the strip at night.
Yeah. I hear that's a really great race.
So I had back when I was with my ex, like this was pre-COVID, like still 2019.
Yeah.
I booked a resort stay for there in Vegas, and it's like, well, you know, we broke up. Then there was COVID, so I had no way of using it. And like I had like 1 month left to figure out when to use it. I'm like,
What to do?
I'm going, yeah. So I'm gonna take my mom with me.
Good for you. That'll be exciting.
Yeah. So
That'll
I
be
think she'll like it.
fun. Yeah, you're gonna have a great time. I signed up for a 10K race in April. But I'm going to sign up for a 5K at the end of this month to kind of get my butt in gear, because otherwise I know I won't be ready. So I'll have that this month. Probably sign up for something in March. Even though I'm going to go Sherpa in Florida because Mike's got a race. And then April, I'll have that 10K at the beginning of April. And then I think I'm going to keep training until I get to maybe a half in June.
Which one?
Maybe. Something local. I think there's going to be like a Wounded Warriors half in June or July. I'm not real sure. So I'll probably sign up for something like that. Look, if I don't sign up for a race, I won't have the motivation to get anything done. I'm not one of those self-motivated, I love to train. No.
Carrot on a stick.
Yep. I need that carrot on a stick. So, all right, let's go jump on the bike.
Thanks for joining me.
No problem. We'll talk.